Hello ladies and gents and everything in between outside of it, I'm Sophia and welcome to a new video. I'm currently filming this video 3 hours before it's supposed to be uploaded. So in the span of 3 hours I have to film the video, upload it, make the thumbnail. But it's fine, this video doesn't take a lot of editing, but let's just get through it. I filmed this already twice, my third time filming it, and I just didn't, the first time my energy was off, and then the second time I just looked horrible and my energy was kind of off. Like I was trying to have energy but I just didn't. And then today I'm feeling a lot better, so I have a lot more energy, and like I just don't want to give you guys like a shitty video. So obviously like having shitty energy, that's not fun. Okay, let's get into this. I'm prepared. Just need to get on my Goodreads and I'm ready to spit some facts, yeah bruv? Yeah, while I'm doing this, let's talk about my month of April and the reading of it. So, like, month of April, it was an okay month. I thought I would read a lot of books because I had holidays and that would just give me more time to read. And I definitely read more books than usual, but I also read graphic novels. Obviously, I read the Heartstopper series. For half of the month, I was just not really feeling reading, and I was just not really, I don't want to call it a reading slump, but it was kind of a reading slump, but I was not reading, but just the books that I were reading, I was not enjoying them, if that makes sense. I was not getting the thrill out of reading. It felt more like I kind of had to do it. So, the first book that I read in April was Verity by Colleen Hoover. I did a reading vlog on this book. I have reading vlogs on almost all the books that I read this month. Verity. I had mixed feelings about this, especially after I read it, because it's supposed to be a thriller, and parts were thrilling, but it was not too thrilling. The main focal point was more like also the relationship and the romance. So I would more focus on the romance aspect than the thriller aspect of it. If you're like going into reading this, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna pick up a thriller book. I mean, depends how easily you get shit scared. I don't get shit scared that easily, only with jump scares, but that's besides the point. This is basically about a author, and her career is just not going great. And then she gets the offer for Lifetime. This guy, well, the husband of Verity, asks her to finish Verity's series for her. Verity is a very popular writer, and her series are like her little trophy. But Verity is sick. She can't finish the series, so they want the main character to finish them for her. But then she has to kind of, go through all her notes, and then she finds a manuscript. And she finds an unfinished autobiography, and she kind of dives deep in there, and she finds stuff that she doesn't really want to know, and it gets a little weird, a little creepy. I ended up, I think, giving this 4 stars anyway, because the ending, it's like, it kind of leaves you up for interpretation, so I was kind of just disappointed. I was expecting more for some reason, because it is very hyped. In the beginning, I really didn't like it, and then I started to talk to a few people about it, and like, hearing their interpretations, and I quite like that, because I kind of started to understand what Colleen maybe was trying to do with this. I really like that aspect of it though, so I kind of moved it from like 5 to a 4, because I love Colleen's writing and I love the characters, and I was really into it. Like, I was into the book, but just the ending wasn't great, and then ending, especially in a thriller and a mystery where you're kind of trying to find out what happened, is very important to me. So the next book that I read in April was the Spanish Love Deception, and I also have a reading vlog on this book. So I didn't know that this was going to be a slow burn, and I'm personally not a fan of slow burn, so it was not really completely up my alley. Enemies to Lovers is kind of up my alley, so it was alright. So this is basically about, she needs to find somebody for her sister's wedding, because she's told that her entire family that she has this hot American date, which she doesn't, and he's like, I'll go with you. It literally says on the first page, but then it's kind of like how they get together and all that stuff, and how they're like connecting, and it's like an office hating type of thing, like they work together but they hate each other. But yeah, I liked it. There's also quite some mixed reviews on this book, but I ended up giving it 4 stars because I'm quickly just checking my review. In the beginning it was quite repetitive. The first few chapters were just like a bit, kept repeating itself, and I was like, okay, we get it, you hate each other, like, but maybe that was just to really give us a feel of the characters and more like my jacket is falling, of how much they hate each other. But we don't actually find out why they hate each other until later on in the book, which was kind of like, Oh my god, I'm so excited to talk about this book. Love me not. Love me not. Well, I love you. Anyway. This book, it's part of the Helen Gray series, which I didn't know, but it's basically a series. You can read them separately, but it makes more sense if you read them all together. It's like an inspector series, like there's this main detective inspector, and each book is a different case. But in this book, there's a woman, she's found dead on the street, and it looks like a car accident, but then you realize it's not an accident. A couple of hours later, a storekeeper is killed as well, and they're starting to link these cases, and then the entire book is kind of like following the killer, but you get also perspectives of the killer and victims just before they die or interacting with the killer, and we also obviously get perspectives of the actual inspector and a few other policemen as well. So I thought that that's like super interesting. Also, the chapters are like max like 5 pages long, so I flicked through this. It's like a smaller book, but yeah, I'm currently collecting the rest of the series, but I gave this 5 stars. It was amazing, astonishing, I loved it, I couldn't put it down, and I recommend everyone should start this series. I love it! Then we're moving on to my favorite part of the entire month, the Heartstopper series. I read the entire series, so I also uploaded a reading vlog on this, and then after that I also do a little compare and contrast with the TV show. I initially wanted to read these 2 books, but then I read this one and I was like, I want these 2 as well. And they broke my entire heart. I gave them all 5 stars. If you're gonna ask me for my favorite, it's probably one of these 2, but I'll probably shift more towards this one, just because I had more emotions. Like, I was crying harder in this one than that, and I feel like always if like a book is able to make you feel such strong emotion, even if it's disgust or sadness, because that can be more difficult than just happiness and like light and romance, this type of stuff, I feel like it immediately gets a higher rating from me. So this book just, it had me sobbing. Tears were streaming down my face. So the next book that I read was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. I also gave this 5 stars. I don't want to call it a children's book, but it gives off children's book vibes. It just basically, it shows you a great message, and it tells you that like you're loved, you're not alone, asking for help is totally fine, it's not weak, and that you're loved, and that your friends care about you, and that you're stronger than you think, and it shows a great deal of friendship and like everything. My mom gave this to me a while back when I wasn't doing great, and I never really thought anything of it. But then this was kind of my slumpy part. I'll go to that when we get to the next book, because that was their fault. So I thought I'd just pick this up so I'm not like not reading, because I did want to read, but I was just not into the book that I was reading. So yeah, I ended up giving this 5 stars. I also posted a few quotes of it on my Instagram story. Follow my Instagram. And the final book is the causer of my reading slump, I guess. The Cousins. I was so upset when this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So I'm absolutely in love with One of Us is Lying, One of Us is Next, Two of Us Can Keep a Secret, right? And then I saw this. I'd heard that her new book wasn't as good, but this one was so good. So I picked it up, I bought it, and I started it. And I think I read like 25 pages, and then I didn't read for like 2 days, and then I would force myself to read again. And it was kind of like that, and it took me 2 whole weeks to finish this book. So I had to literally force myself to sit down, and I said, Sophia, you're now gonna sit down and finish this book, and you're gonna read it until you, because otherwise you're gonna like beat yourself up about it. And I also kind of want to just have it in this video, so it's like not dragged into May. But yeah, basically this is about a family. The grandmother of the family, she disowned all of her children and cut off like all the money and inheritance, I think. A couple of years later, all the children, so basically the grandchildren of the grandma, are invited to go to her resort, and they don't know why, and the cousins have never met each other, so we kind of get that, and then we want to find out, why did she disown everyone. And then I think literally half of the book just world building, character building, and I think there was like one small plot, like subplot twist in there in the first half of the book, but it didn't have me flabbergasted, let's say. I did like the ending of the book, and I liked the writing, but just because it took me so long, and I ended up giving this, I think, 3.5 stars, round it to a 3. Those were all the books that I read in April, and I hope you got some recommendations out of this and some books that you maybe don't want to read. But yeah, I definitely recommend Love Me Not and the entirety of the Heartstopper series. Go watch the show if you haven't. I do recommend to read the books first because they do twist some things around in the show. But if you want to find out more information about that, you have to just watch my reading vlog. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you when I see you. I have to edit now. Fuck.